Happy Sunday, man. All I needed today is a car wash and a haircut, and I'm straight. I'm chilling for the rest of the day. It's too hot to be out, man. Plus we got vacation coming up, so I told the wife and the kids, if y'all want to go, y'all go, but I'm going to chill today. So anyway, guys, listen, I wanted to do a message about cheap prices, okay, when it comes to, especially when it comes to a service, right? So I'm on, sometimes I get notifications from this app called Nextdoor, and somebody said I got a quote to paint my house. I have a 3-story house, and they quoted me $11,000. Does this sound about right? And guys, I'm gonna say 95% of the comments were like, no, that's overpriced, they're overcharging you. I started seeing people that say, I got mine done for $6,000. Even a few contractors popped up and said I can do it for $3,000. Now guys, listen, everybody prices their price right, but one thing as the consumer we have to take into consideration is, if someone give you a price, okay, let's say $11,000, and another person give you a price of $6,000, all right, you have to then do your homework, because in that big of a price gap, something ain't adding up, right? If they're doing the exact same job, all right, how can one company be almost 50% more than another company? I'm gonna tell you guys why. A lot of it is experience. A lot of it is, I'm just telling you, they're desperate for work. A lot of it is the quality, okay? Not only the quality of their work, the material, okay? I get this all the time. Oh, Courtney, I got a cheaper price, okay? Well, what material are they using? Oh, I don't know. Well, those are the type of questions you need to ask, because if, let's say me with my service, okay, with my polyurethane, if I'm using a polyurethane that costs me $130 to $140 per gallon, but you can get polyurethane $30-$40 a gallon, okay? So that could be a reason why their price is cheaper, because the material that they're using is cheaper, right? So are you really getting a cheaper price? No, you're just getting a cheaper quality, all right? You're getting a cheaper service. And this is where the consumer must do their homework and understand what they're getting. Guys, I'm just gonna speak for myself, all right? When I first started my business, I was the cheap guy. But I'm gonna tell you what's wrong when you are a cheap service. When you are a cheap service, you're not making a lot of profit, if any at all, right? And this is why you have to operate cheap, okay? But when you start, sending a different message, there's a lot of clients out here, and I'm proof, and I work for these people every day. They're not price conscious, because you know why? They're looking for quality. I even have my clients that used to ask me, Courtney, I see these signs on the side of the road, $99 whole house, okay, $20 a room. How can they operate a business at those price points? That then told me, when I was using those same prices and I had that same business model, that's exactly why those clients were not calling me. Because you have to realize, guys, with a certain price point, it might excite certain people, but a lot of people, it raises red flags. A lot of people see your prices and it runs them away. And I've heard this numerous times. Courtney, I got a price after I got, your quote, or, somebody gave me a quote. Nah, their price was too cheap, okay? I remember one time, speaking from experience, when I was moving into my home, and this was about 8 years ago, and I had a colleague, like a friend that I knew from high school, and I used to always see him posting on Facebook. And I called him. I said, hey man, I want to get some get some TVs, mounted on the wall. And I said, well, how much you charge? He said $50. I said, $50? And he said, yeah. I said, do I need to go buy the mount? He said, no, that includes the mount. And guys, the first thing that ran through my head, either he don't know what he's doing, or he's gonna give me a cheap mount, and 2 weeks later, all I can imagine is my TV's falling on the floor. That's all that went through my head when he told me $50 to mount my TVs. And I mean, I didn't tell him. I told him some type of way, like, don't worry about it, or I'll call you back. And I found this one guy that I've been using ever since. Okay, Cool Geeks. I'm gonna give Cool Geeks a shout out in Gwinnett County. And at the time, I think he was charging like $200. And guess what, guys? I went with him. And he's been servicing, you know, my cameras. If I want a new TV hung on the wall, I've been using him ever since. All right, because to me, that was more realistic. All right, like I say, there are some people who probably would have jumped all over that $50, but I know, okay, I know that certain things just should cost more. All right, and this is why we have to be cautious when we do hire services, because I'm gonna tell you something else. The people who hire the cheaper companies, these would be the same people that will complain. All right, go leave bad reviews, but don't realize you're a part of the problem. You know, now don't get me wrong, the company did give you a cheap price, but this is why you should ask questions. If let's say my service, if I tell you $3,000, okay, to get your floors done, and somebody else tell you, let's say $1,800 or $2,000, you have to start asking questions. All right, and I see this all the time, and I actually go behind companies all the time. And you know what it all boils down to? Actually, I have a job Wednesday that I'm going to be doing in Duluth. A lady had her floors done. She sent me pictures. This company ruined her floors. And you know what? And she was honest. She said, you know what, Courtney, I'm going to be honest with you. I just chose them because they had a cheap price. That's exactly what she told me, right? So there was a saying that a guy told me a long time ago. He said, cheap people always pay twice. And guys, like I said, this doesn't necessarily fall for everything. But when it comes to a service, now a product, that's different. You know, a product is different, but still, you gotta be leery, okay? You have to do your research, right? You gotta do your research. If you notice, if you look up any companies that offer a cheap product or a cheap service, most of them get bad reviews, right? But it's always from people who don't do their research, all right? They want quality products, but they want it at a low price, but not realizing that you get what you pay for. All right, you get what you pay for. And this is anything in the world. You know, this is why you have higher price things and you have lower price things. And why do people support higher price things? Because they understand what they're getting. This is why somebody would go stay at the Four Seasons or the Ritz-Carlton, you know, and pay $400 or $500 a night. You know, because the experience, they know what they're getting. Well, they could have went and stayed at the Days Inn for $100 a night. All right, this is why people go to 5-star restaurants. All right, this is why people buy luxury items. This is why people live in certain communities and buy certain homes and drive certain cars and anything, right? This is why somebody can go buy a Rolex watch for $50,000 when they can go buy a cheap watch for $50, right? Because people understand what they're getting. And a lot of people, what I have learned in business, a lot of people are not always looking for the cheapest price. Cheap prices will actually run people away. All right, so I just want to put that out there, man. Just seeing that post on Nextdoor, I'm like, they quoted her 11,000, and then it went. And then you had companies 6,000 and 3,000, and that's like where a lot of people. That's where a lot of people must do their research. All right, guys, I'm about to go chill for the rest of the day. See you in the next one.